Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Caleb. Sunday, April 5th, 2020. Hope you're all doing well. As you guys know, we're in a pandemic these days, so I wanted to do a quick video with some of the books that I have and that I thought would be a good suggestion for you guys to check out while you got some downtime. So we're going to start off with this pile of books here behind me. And I think the very first book, if you're looking for like a general kind of survival guide that's more for like urban areas, I would go with When All Hell Breaks Loose. That's by Cody Lundin. If you're not familiar with Cody Lundin, he was on Discovery Channel for years on a show called Dual Survival. And this is a really great book. A lot of it's about your mindset in a disaster situation. So I'd say probably the first half of this book is just about making sure that you're not panicking and how to control fear, and then it goes into stuff such as hydration, food and water storage, sanitation, hygiene, self-defense. So it's a really interesting book. It's well written. It's kind of got some fun little drawings and stuff, so it's not like super. The content is serious, but he makes it fun to read. There's some humor in there, and just a really good general kind of preparedness book. So definitely check that out. I'd say if you're to get any of these books, maybe this is number one to acquire. But again, that's When All Hell Breaks Loose, Stuff You Need to Survive When Disaster Strikes. Check that one out. Next on my list, this is a really cool book called Back to Eden. It's by Jethro Kloss. I believe it was written in the late 1930s. This gentleman, basically this is like the Bible of like herbal medicine. It goes through all sorts of different health problems you can have and what kind of herbs and tinctures and stuff would be good for it. It's got recipes in it. Yeah, it's a huge book, and this one's a little bit more thick reading, not really heavy on the pictures and that kind of stuff, but the amount of information here is just fantastic. It really goes over anything, like any of your natural foods and herbs and what they do and how they can benefit you health-wise. I suggest this because, the way things are looking, it is quite possible that there might be shortages of regular medications in the stores. If you're not aware, India produces, I think, over half of our generic medications, whether they be antivirals or antibacterials, and the entire nation of India is in lockdown right now. So, I'm not saying, this, you should always visit your doctor and get medical advice from your doctor, but as far as herbal remedies go, this is a really cool resource to have. And as you can see, it's just a thick book, so there's a lot of info in here. And it's definitely written kind of, it sounds very, very much like somebody who wrote it in like the 40s. A little bit of religious content in here because I think the guy was a pretty big Christian, but regardless, really interesting book and invaluable information. So that was Back to Eden by Jethro Kloss. I think it retails for like $15-17. Let's see. Another good book is by a gentleman named Matthew Stein, who he unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but it's called When Technology Fails. This goes a lot into different projects and stuff that you can do to create power and energy. Stuff for really kind of more long-term disasters if you have to kind of get things going again. But interesting book. Some of it's pretty technical because I think this gentleman was like an engineer type background. But a lot of good info in here as well. Stuff like making solar power and wind energy, that kind of stuff. So definitely check that out. That's When Technology Fails by Matt Stein. Let's see. Now this is another old book, but really cool. I was lucky enough to get this like super cheap off of Amazon. This is the first edition. It's called Back to Basics, and this was kind of like it's like a amalgamation of a bunch of stuff from Reader's Digest that they put together into a book, but kind of similar to like when technology fails. I mean, it shows you all sorts of stuff. I mean, this page is how to make a septic system. It's got gardening, how to do timber frame joinery. So it literally shows you how to like build a house without regular nails and that kind of stuff. Making walls, making stone houses, drying food, growing food, raising animals. Just a really cool collection of different stuff that you can do. So there's a second edition of this that's on Amazon that's like a green book. From what I've read, that one's okay, but I think this one has a little bit more detail in it. So if you can find the original one, that's probably the way to go. And it's definitely available through Amazon, through the different book vendors. This one might get a little expensive if you're looking for the original, just because it's kind of rare. But that's Back to Basics, How to Learn and Enjoy Traditional American Skills. And that was, like I said, by Reader's Digest. So I've got one more book that is just fun to read during quarantine. This one is called The Art of Shenmue. It's by a gentleman who has a ghostwriting name. Zeke is the guy's name. This one's a little bit more fun. I'd say it's kind of a combination of like survival guide, cooking guide, and comic book. But you'll see as I open it up, it's written in kind of a comic book style fashion. It's got all sorts of different stuff. It's got a lot of like Eastern Chinese medicine stuff. It's got like kung fu moves and different workout programs that you can do. It's got a lot about herbs and different sorts of medicinal stuff. Kind of touches on some of the herbal remedies. It's got breathing techniques and stretching and all sorts of really interesting stuff. And I mean, this book's just fun to read because it's very eclectic, and it's a little hard to follow just the way the guy designed it. But you know, there's plenty to look at, so it'll definitely keep you busy if anything else, because I think while we sit here on this quarantine time, we're going to have plenty of time to be doing reading and kind of brushing up on skills and knowledge. So anyway, guys, this book, again, is The Art of Shenmue by Zeke. I'll link down below to all these books where you can find them. But yeah, check them out. I mean, there's definitely a lot of good information to be had out there. So I hope you guys are all quarantining well and taking care of yourselves and each other. And until my next video, we will talk to you soon. Thanks.